Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Monster vs. Monster here on the D&D CR Exposed YouTube channel. Thank you all so much for joining me this afternoon or this morning or this night, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining me this day. This should be a fun one. I've been reaching out to my Discord community more and getting some input back on how to better evolve these encounters and get them a little bit more interesting. And now, not only do we have your interactions with likes and working and updating the game here. Now you can also vote on interactions with the round. So think lair actions, but not necessarily against any one particular side. Now the quote-unquote lair actions, as you can vote on currently in the poll, they'll happen to every side. So, you know, not just one side or the other gets affected by this. So at the moment, we currently have 0 votes for a stampede, 60% votes for a building storm, 20% for wrong range support, which is actually a kind of funny one, and no interference. So at the moment, now that we have our game going here, we're going to go ahead and end this poll to get the next poll going, because I'm going to need to know for the in-between round votes and the like percentages going up, whether or not we should be rolling high or low. So let me go ahead and roll that. We'll be doing Building the Storm here. So I will go ahead and that and put in some particle effects for a cloud to start forming here. And in any moment now, we should start to see clouds rolling in. As we can see right here, we have clouds starting to roll in on the game, which is fantastic. So let me go ahead and throw in a new poll here of between round checks. Are we going to roll high or low? So let's see here, between round. Oh, and I forgot to put my music on loop as always. There we go, between round checks. Are we going to roll high? Or are we rolling low? So basically saying anywhere between for high we'll be rolling, 100% down, or with roll low, 100% or 0% and up. So let's see here. We're going to go ahead and ask the community what they think for this next check here. And ELG asks, how deep is the big footprint? It might matter because of small people might not be able to climb out if it's thrown in. I would definitely say, looking at the slant here of the input section, the arch of the foot, probably somewhere around 10 to 15 feet deep. So this is supposed to be a rather large looking giant that has stepped through the area here. Let's see here. And for the ogre, I think a Scottish accent is needed. Oh god, a Scottish accent? I could probably do something along those lines. Alright, so now that we have the next poll going on here for rolling low or rolling high, let's go ahead and meet our combatants here for the side of giants and the side of the small folk. So for our big boys, we've got an Ogre Battering Ram by the name of Ram Rocktum. Then we also have our young frost giant Alum. And then from there we have the Ettin by the names, or the Ettins, I should say, because there are 2 heads, by the name of Hogrus. And then lastly we have a young fire giant by the name of Thralj, with a J at the end. Maybe it's silent, I don't know. Yeah, Shrek would have been good too. And then for our team small, or the small boys, we have Denib, which is a Grung elite warrior here, and has been updated to go with the picture. Graciously created by Hair Doctor, who doesn't seem to be in the chat right now, or he was here originally, but maybe he'll be back in shortly. And then on top of that, we have the Grung elite warrior, who has been updated with the items here. We also have Gozu, our Zhent martial arts adept here, and this is a halfling monk. Also updated with some little changes here and there to make sure they are CR3. We have Bogvia, which is a goblin caster. I don't remember the original name for this one, but this is from Eberron's Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, not Eberron, excuse me. And then lastly, we have Meko the Light, a Kobold Paladin, which is a custom monster that I created not too long ago. There will be a video later on, so this is a little bit of a spoiler here for Meko the Light, a Kobold Paladin that I've created. They're an interesting one, as they're not necessarily a full-blown Paladin, but they have special armor that gives them an aura like a Paladin. So, the Kobold thinks they're a Paladin, which is pretty cool. No spellbook, just some extra features here, which are pretty fun. And they also have a helmet of sunlight deflection, which will protect them for their sunlight sensitivity, as bestowed upon them by their deity. All right, so, hey, Ian, how you doing? Truck95, Evil Lord Gravy. Just want to say hi to all you guys. Hair Doctor, thank you all so much for joining me tonight. Make sure to get those likes in to help affect the in-between checks that we have going on here. So, those are our actors. We also have a lair action for the increase going on here for our storm. That's going to be happening over the couple rounds of combat here, and we will see what happens after that. So, with that all out of the way, what is the story here? What's going on? Why are these monsters fighting? Well, the story so far is that this has been a very traveled merchant trade route here. And these ogres and giants here have set up a sort of training ground, as we have two young giants here of a frost and fire giant. They are being trained on how to do various things. And with that, because of their most recent event of putting in a fake massive giant foot here, like this is colossal gargantuan size that these giants have dug out and put in overnight, the local towns and trade merchants have stopped traveling through this route here and have called on the aid of heroes to come take a look. So this is our young band of heroes here that are taking a look and investigating as to what the trouble is. They've come in and started looking around here, as we have our Grung down in the heel of the giant foot, we have our monk on the arch, and then the paladin is kind of keeping a lookout, looking around here, and our, we'll say, goblin wizard is kind of inspecting, and it's not a booyog, inspecting this cart here. The giants spring their trap and go to attack now that they've heard what's going on. So in between these attacks, we will also be having the lair actions going on that have been voted on. Okay, so with that, let us get into combat. Go ahead and start this up here and begin rolling some initiative dice. All right, and here come the initiative dice. So, with the dice rolled, it looks like we have Gozu going first, followed by Thralj. Then our lair action, which is going to be updated to not CR, but Initiative 20, because that's when lair actions always go. So our lair action's been updated. Then we have Ram Raktum going next, Indib, Bogvia, Alum, Meko, and Hogrus. Those are our combatants here. So, as for everything to get going here, the clouds start to roll in on the lair action, which will be going consequently, or sequentially here. And, yeah, Gozu's going to go first. So, seeing that the ogres kind of bash and crash through the forest here, and as you can see, I've got some 3D effects going on here. Ooh, nice. I took some time and cut out the edges here, so they're hiding under the trees. Gozu notices what's going on and starts to rush over to attack the enemy over there. So, let's go ahead and take a look at our Zhent Martial Adept to see what they can do. They have a movement of 25 feet. Why in the world do they have a 25-foot movement? I'm going to fix that to 30. Everything has 30. This is not Pathfinder 2nd edition. All right, so we have unarmed strike, we have darts, we have a multi-attack, which we can make 3 unarmed strikes or 3 dart attacks. How many darts does the monk have? Enough darts. We also have deflect missile, which is a great reaction, but in case, you know, if they happen to get thrown with something, we'll see how that goes. Halfling nimbleness, so the adept can move through spaces of a medium or larger creature. They also have brave, so if they have any, frighten effects, they have advantage on that. And then they also have unarmored defense, which gives them the 16 AC. Now, this is not your typical one. I have updated their hit points a bit to bring them up to the CR3, because when I checked over them, they were only about a CR2. So we have some slight changes here. Okay, let's get up to our Gozu here and begin running into battle. Tread upon the small, and they shall wound your feet and make you crawl. This is very true. Okay. Gozu's going to go ahead and, let's see here real quick. Wrong item. Just a 30-foot movement, no climb speed. Okay, so Gozu dashes up the side here for 25 feet. Goes another 5 feet over to here, and then we'll take, being a monk, probably just going to rush right on up another 30 feet to get as close as possible maybe, or we'll say backs up to about 25 feet there. That is going to be Gozu's turn, and we end there. We have the lair action going next. As the clouds begin to roll in here, we'll go ahead and make them a little thicker, maybe density. Let's go for a little denser now that we have hit the next round here. So we're going to go ahead and save changes there, and now our cloud should be rolling in. Hopefully it's not too terrible. All right, after that we have Thrall. She's going to go next. Let's take a look at our young fire giant here to see what they have. As for features, they have a maul and a couple javelins, and then hide armor. And yes, with the darts, it wouldn't have made any point to have our monk attack because, you know, such a long range away. So we'll say, let's see here. Who is closer for our young fire giant to throw a couple javelins at? We could do it here for 80 or 75 feet. We'll have him come south and probably skirt around the side of the giant input here, this colossal footprint. So with a movement of 40 feet, our giant is going to come on down to, let's see here, have him step over the cart here and start chucking a couple spears at our Grung elite warrior down below. So we'll go ahead and target them, and we'll have a couple melee javelins go. So let's see, double check here. I think it's only one attack. Yes, only one attack. And we chuck that javelin. It looks like long distance. We have a 5 and a 15, and moving over to combat, we will see that our Indib here was missed with an 11 to hit. So our spear, or javelin, excuse me, does not hit Indib. And that is Thrall's turn. Up next is Ram Raktum, or Raktum, however you want to say it. Let's take a look at what our Battering Ram Ogre here has for features. Now, the funny part is they're a siege monster. Hence why they've been able to destroy these carts and come in and just destroy things and merchants as they've been coming along here. So that's the idea of why this ogre's here. And the ogre basically just bashes. We have a multi-attack of 2 bash attacks from the battering ram they're holding, and they can do block the path as a reaction. When a creature enters the space within 5 feet of the ogre makes a bash attack against the creature. If it hits, the target speed is reduced to 0, and this until the start of the ogre's next turn. Dalton, hello! I can only assume the giants, with how large they are, going to do a lot more damage than the small folk. Makes me think they have an advantage here. Maybe. We shall see what happens. Alright, so Ram Raktum is going to move up there 40 feet and go ahead for going for an attack. So that's going to look like it's 25 feet. Kind of rushes right on up and is targeting our monk here with 2 bash attacks. Alright, bash attack number 1 is going to be a base 18, total of 24 to hit, which does hit Gozu for a total of 12 points of damage, and puts a pretty good dent into our little monk here so far. Double checking everything here, we only have deflect missiles and nothing else that can be used to deflect the attacks, and Ram Raktum will go in for a second attack of their multi-attack here. And that's going to be a base 7, total 13, which misses Gozu's AC as they deftly dodge after the second blow of the attack here. As the ogre leans back, hits once, goes to lean back again, and the monk, dizzied a bit, spins out of the way and avoids being hit the second time. Up next is Indib, and Indib is over here in the foot of the crater. And seeing that they just were attacked by this ogre over here with a javelin, it's probably going to split the party a little bit and go on up for an attack against this young fire giant. Let's take a look at what they can do. They have a movement speed of 25 and a climb speed of 25. I will allow that because they're frogs, so they're jumping around anyways. And then they have a short bow and spear attacks. They also have the mesmerizing chur, which isn't going to help here because it's only against humanoids or beasts. And that's not really going to help here because these are all giants. So technically the mesmerizing chur won't help. They're also amphibious, poisonous skin, standing leap, and water dependency. So the poisonous skin, when a creature is grappled or grapples the grung or otherwise comes into direct contact with the grung's skin, they must succeed on a constitution saving throw or be poisoned for 1 minute. In essence, I would also consider this being an attack, in theory. Being that close, maybe their skin splatters, so there is a chance of being poisoned, and I will be using this on melee attacks. The water dependency just means they have to be submerged into water for an hour every day. They also have a shield and studded leather armor, part of their inventory, for this grung artwork that Herr Doctor graciously built for me. Alright, so they can move 25 feet and attack. So at the moment, we'll say, did they have their shield and spear connected? Probably not. So did they have a multi-attack? No, they just have the one short bow attack. Until they get a little closer, they might just start shooting some, short bow attacks from here. So they'll go ahead and equip their short bow. We will say the armor isn't equipped currently. So is there any way to configure that? Equipped armor. We will go ahead and say 15 for the time being, since they don't have their shield equipped. Can I update that? There we go. Perfect. And we will go ahead and equip the arrow, or bows and arrow. There we go. And make an attack with the short bow. Yes, token sponsored by Hair Doctor. Alright, so that's a base 16 with a total of 21 to hit, dealing 11 points of damage, piercing and poison damage. So let's take a look at that short bow again real quick here, just to make sure there's no poison effects, and it's not just poison damage. So we have ourselves some poison-tipped arrows. Dealing 11 damage to the young fire giant. They are already hit for maybe, let's see here. I'm not even sure how much to say that is. That's probably a good 10 to 15% of their life. All right, and that is Indib's turn. He's going to go ahead and move 25 feet, probably up to about here, getting up and out of this giant input, colossal footprint here. And then we move on to Bogvia. Bogvia is our spellcaster here, who has already, prior to the combat beginning, gave themselves false life and mage armor, so that's already up and ready to go. They also have a dagger, Eldritch Blast multi-attack for, let's see here, 2 melee attacks or 1 Eldritch Blast cantrip attack. Nimble Escape, which we all know and love, quote unquote. They have Incorporeal Dash, so, oh, that's right, Bol'bara is the original name. Moves up to her speed. She can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain. Oh my god, that's a legendary action? She has legendary abilities at CR3? Oh my goodness, I did not realize this was a legendary creature that has joined the party. Okay, she takes 5 force damage if she ends a turn somewhere. And then she also has Zone of Calamity. A 15-foot radius sphere of magical confusion extends from a point Bol'bara can see within 60 feet of her and spreads around corners. Each creature that starts its turn in the area is treated as if the target is confusion. Okay, I will remember those. They may or may not come into play. We shall see what happens. And then we also have the Dark One's Blessing. When Bol'bara or Bogvia reduces a hostile creature's hit points to 0, she gains 6 temporary hit points. And then for our spellbook, we also have Charm Person, Hex, Hold Person, Invisibility, False Life, Mage Armor, Eldritch Blast as a cantrip, and Mage Hand. So we will go ahead and probably do a Hex. So let's go ahead and Hex the young fire giant over here. She will move up a little bit. We'll say she will just kind of go right up to the edge here, 20 feet. And then target the fire giant with the Hex spell as part of her ability here. So let's double check something here. Mage armor. Ah, yes, bonus action. There we go. So we get a bonus action Hex. And let's see here. So 4 points of necrotic damage. I think that's just added in for all the attacks, if I remember this spell correctly. Until the spell ends, you deal extra 1d6 necrotic damage to the target whenever you hit them with an attack. Okay, so we will use that potentially for our Eldritch Blast as a cantrip, now that we've gone ahead and used the bonus action here. So the Eldritch Blast bonus action is going to be a base 10 to hit, total of 14, which hits Thralj for a total of 9 points of force damage, and we will include the Hex damage for 4 points as well. So that reduces our fire giant here down to below 25% of their hit points, and we move on now that Bogvia's turn has finished. She has a total of 30 feet of movement, and will probably take 10 more feet back to get out of the way. Yes, Bogvia may be small, but she's apparently of legendary status among her peers. Yes, as we've seen here with the goblins and Frizz, the legendary goblin that I have running around usually, this creature is probably going to be just the same. Okay, that's Bogvia's turn. Up next we have Alum, our frost giant, young frost giant, excuse me, who has basically the same features as our fire giant. It has a battle axe. I've switched it from the great club to a battle axe for the attacks, which I need to modify real quick. Let's see here. There we go. I wanted that in place because the great club wasn't doing as much damage as it should. And then we have the javelin as well to throw if need be. So Alum is going to go ahead and let's see here. Since these are large giants here, Alum is going to just kind of step down into the footprint to kind of bank around here and maybe go after the Grung. And that will be the first action here, climbing down as well. And then not necessarily climbed up, but more of like a step down. And then just kind of does one of those hops down, like, and then we'll continue moving on. We'll say what's their movement? 40 feet? 40-ish feet to, we'll go 30 feet to there. And then another, ooh, where are you going? There we go. Another 10 feet to there. And that's their action. Moving on. Last for our little boys, the small boys, is Meko. And Meko is our Kobold Paladin here. Meko is, let's see here, able to move 30 feet, has the helmet of sunlight deflection, and is not bothered, but we do have cloud coverage, so that's a moot point at this point, and can move 30 feet. So let's see, can they get up to the giant? Yes, they can. So now we get to see the slight aura that we have going on here, and the Kobold Paladin fiercely charges in with a and goes in to attack the young giant here. So let's take a look at what we have going on for Meko the Light. Now, nothing special here, not a legendary creature, has some features going on of, skilled in history, perception, persuasion, and religion. Actually, an expert in religion. And then we have a mace, a shield bash, radiant aura, which is going to be fun here. Any hostile creature that moves within 10 feet or starts their turn next to the kobold is dealt 3d4 radiant damage for lawful good, necrotic damage for evil or chaotic, or force damage for neutral. ELG says Meko had better survive this. We shall see. Hopefully Meko does survive this. And that's their big ability here, the Radiant Aura, dealing an extra 7 damage whenever any creature starts their turn. I will just apply that now to the giant so I don't forget about it. And then they have a multi-attack of a Mace and Shield Slam. So we will go ahead and add all of that in. Alright, so first of all, let's just go ahead and get this aura going here. So we'll go ahead and use the feature. Yes, the Radiant Aura free feature. And is that going to do anything? Come on. One target? Is it not working? It worked before. I did it from here, though. Let's see here. Let's try this again. There we go. Okay, so our Radiant Aura goes in. There's a big old burst of damage, and our Frost Giant here, the young Frost Giant, takes 8 points of Radiant damage as Meko comes rushing in, and then goes in for 2 attacks. One with the mace and one with the shield bash. So, attack number 1 with the mighty mace. You hear, with a base 16 total and 21 to hit, Meko slams the giant for 10 points of mace bludgeoning damage, and then goes in for the shield bash as well for a base 6, and misses Alum, unfortunately, with the shield slam for an 11 total. Now, just to double check things here, I don't think I did anything special. No, this is just a straight shield bash to do some damage. And that is Meko's turn, dealing a good portion of damage to Alum, the young frost giant here. And last to go is Hogris. And Hogris is up here in... Oh, no, Hogris is not dead. Up here in the back, and we'll do something very similar. Probably move on up. Let's take a look at Hogris here, who's our basic Ettin. And we have a Battle Axe, a Morning Star, a multi-attack. The Ettin makes 2 attacks, one with each weapon. And then, let's see here, 2 heads. The Ettin has advantage on Wisdom Perception checks, and as well as these effects. And then Wakeful as well, so they can't be, surprised. When one of the Ettin's heads is sleeping, the other is awake. Good to know. Okay, so, Hogris, how far can they move? 40 feet, and we'll go ahead and move up. Let's see here, we'll go and put him to about here. And then decides to engage who? We'll have him go right on up against the Grung Elite here. So hops on down for, 10 feet. This isn't going to equivalent fall damage because of how big they are. And then another, let's see here. They can't throw anything, so they're just going to have to rush right on up. And that will be the total amount here as he rushes right on up to engage the Grung Elite Warrior Ndib. And that is the end of round 1 here. So, as we come to the end of round 1, I will go ahead and see that we are rolling high tonight, folks. So every between round combat check, we will be rolling high, and so far we have 4 likes on the live stream. That means we will be checking between 100 to 97. And if we hit 97 to 100, our third party will enter and start messing up things. Okay, so then, let us go ahead and roll that D100 check to see what happens at the end of round 1. We have ourselves a 73. Close, but not close enough. And with that 73, our third party combatant has not arrived, maybe isn't aware of the situation, and just isn't bothering to show their heads right now. So, we go to the top of round 2. with Gozu going first. Gozu is going to go ahead and do a couple fun things here. As was already prompted earlier in the live chat, Gozu is going to go ahead and take one of their multi-attacks to climb on top of this ogre here, Ram Raktum, because he's a larger creature. So Gozu is going to go ahead and make an acrobatics check, as I'm sure they are better with acrobatics and dexterity. Of course they are, and they're proficient here, and make a check versus each other. No, Evil Lord Gravy, the third party is not medium-sized. Okay, so we will go ahead and make an acrobatics check versus the Ram Raktum's acrobatics check for climbing on creatures. Oh my goodness, a base 1! Gozu fails! Let us see what Ram got for his athletics check here, or acrobatics, because they have to, it's a check versus check. And with that, Gozu fails to try and climb on top. He will go ahead and do a second of both his actions to once again try and get up onto this, this battering ram ogre here, who seems to, our halfling Gozu seems to be a little dazed and confused here, and goes in for another one with a 13 this time for the second check. Gozu has a better chance of climbing up on top of this battering ram ogre here. So with the acrobatics check, almost a 17. The second check of the two multi-attack works. And with that, Gozu is officially climbing on top of, and I will just put this as 5 feet here to make sure he stays above Ram Raktum, is now officially climbing on top of Ram Raktum, who is now kind of annoyed and gets disadvantage to the attack for trying to get him off of him. Otherwise, we could do some other things to get rid of him, get him up and off of him. All right. So we are now up to 5 likes on the channel, which is fantastic, which means we will be looking for 100 to 96% chance. So 96 to 100 will get us a third-party combatant coming in to mess things up. And with that, Gozu's turn is over. We move on to the lair action, and as per the check beforehand, the lair is moving on to rain. Now everything is getting soggy with this rain, so let's go ahead and switch over from our clouds to rain down rain top down, or rain without splashes. Let's see which one looks better. Now the question is, do the clouds go away? Because if the clouds go away, I need to keep the clouds going. Probably have to keep the clouds going. I think that's just rain. Alright, we'll see in a minute here. But anyways, we have our rain starting to come in here and begins to come down pretty hard. Let's go ahead. Oh, yep, it did get rid of the clouds. Alright. We'll save those changes as well, and we'll just modify this a little bit. Let's see here. The density, let's bring the density up ever so slightly to make this a harder, heavier rain that's coming in and is making the ground, especially down below here, difficult terrain. The ground up here, maybe not necessarily so hard to walk through, although a little soggy, but everything here is going to be rough inside of the footprint. Alright, so with that, we have ourselves the rain coming in, and on round 3, it will get even worse. Alright. That is the lair action for this area's turn, and next we have Thralj. Thralj is going to go ahead and, let's see here, being hexed. Probably not too happy about that, and it's going to attempt to get over to that caster as fast as possible. More than likely, the easiest route may be to go, probably go around, sadly. So we'll go ahead and go 40 feet to here. And then we will also go, come on, there we go. That was 10. Alright, so another 30 feet to there, roughly, and gets pretty close to the goblin who has hexed him. And that will be Thralj's turn. Being a fire giant, we'll say that he's a little more angry about being hexed and blasted, and has just kind of lost himself and goes head first, screaming and barreling. It's like a "Argh!" kind of thing. That is Thrall's turns. Not much going on from him right now. And next we go to Ram Raktum, who is going to attempt to grab and throw this wily little halfling off of him, and maybe even throw him down into the mud and the footprint here. Oh, right. The legendary actions for the goblin. Yes, he is close now. So as the turn ends, thank you so much, Dalton. We will go ahead and take a look at the one legendary action of Zone of Calamity here. So 15-foot radius sphere of magical confusion extends from the point for Bogvia and can see within 60 feet of her and spreads around. Oh, it's a point. I totally missed that part of it being 60 feet of her. All right, that's cool. That works. Each creature that starts in this turn in this area is treated as if it is confused. And then the sphere lasts as long as Bogvia maintains concentration up to 1 minute. All right, well, yeah, we'll go ahead and go and do that. So let's see here. Throw down that zone of calamity. We'll put that right. Oh, I hate it when I do that. Let's fix this real quick. Recharges. Is it telling me I can't? Yeah, there we go. That's the problem. It's telling me I can't do it. There we go. So our zone of calamity is down there, and the our giant will have to make a check for confusion, which should be fun. We will check into that later on as Bogvia uses her 2 legendary actions to do so. All right. Tuscan, hello there. Ah, yes, the hex will end. That is true, but the confusion is probably a better effect than the hex, sadly. So the hex does drop, which thankfully I don't have anything on there to keep track of it, and the confusion will be the next thing up. All right, so Ram Rocktum here is going to go in for the climbing here. So let me double check what to do about this. So climbing, I'm looking at climbing on, shoot, what was it called there? I got to double check something real fast here. Climb, there we go. Climbing onto a bigger creature. So, with climbing onto a bigger creature, as we look at this situation here and Ram Rocktum, the larger creature can dislodge the smaller creature as an action, knocking it off, scraping it against the wall, or grabbing and throwing it. By making a strength athletics check, contested by the smaller creature's athletics or dexterity, or acrobatics check, the smaller creature chooses which ability to use. So, Ram Rocktum is definitely going to use their ability here to try and get rid of Gozu, because that's wicked annoying. And he does have a multi-attack, so we'll go ahead and allow him to make 2 checks, using each of his multi-attacks to try and get rid of this annoying little halfling here. So he will go ahead and go in for an athletics check first against the dexterity check, and we'll see what happens. So check number 1 is going to be a base 4, total of 8, and Gozu is going to try and dodge out of the way with the acrobatics check with a base 9, total of 14. The ogre misses attacking or grabbing Gozu here and goes in for, since the first attack was a miss, he's going to go ahead and try to hit him instead and go in for an attack. But this is going to be a disadvantage because the creature, Gozu, is climbing over top of him and tries to hit him with the battering ram for some weird and odd reason. So we go ahead and make a disadvantage attack here, which should be that. And with a base 3, that is going to be a miss as Ram Rocktum attempts to bash Gozu with his battering ram. Definitely a miss there. So first check was a grab, didn't take into any effects. Second attack was a miss. Okay, so there's Ram's turn. Up next we have Indib, who is down here facing off with our Ettin here, Halgris. So Indib is going to go ahead and drop his bow and pull out his spear, which he currently can't get his shield out, so he's going to just keep the spear out so he can make a couple attacks here. And let's see here. With the poisonous skin, we won't have anything to do with that just yet. And we will go ahead and make a spear attack. So we will go ahead and get that spear and make an attack against... Oh, that was against the wrong attack. He's trying to hit Gozu because I switched and missed the attack up. All right, so we'll just use that attack for a 16. Let's get put the damage back. And we'll go ahead and let's check the AC here. AC 12. That does hit. So Indib does hit our Ettin here with a 16 and deals it 10 points of damage. All right, that was my mistake there. And goes ahead and deals a little bit of damage. Indib is going to maybe shift a little bit. Oh, right. Oh, right. And we have Halgris here, who is in range of our Paladin, not realizing he is part of the aura, and will be taking some aura from Meko. So that's going to be a little extra damage there that our Paladin is dealing and giving off, which is pretty fun. He goes exactly. Why are you hitting yourself? Yeah, honorable 1v1 duels. Yeah, it wasn't exactly. Right now, we kind of have Bogvia, who is our outlier here. Being a goblin, she's kind of just picking off whoever. But yeah, for the time being, they're kind of just like, whatever. And technically, that's how you should DM too. In essence, you do whatever you want, but technically, they're all going to be doing their own things. They're giants. There's no one really leading here. So with an intelligence of 5, no one's really giving commands. They're all just kind of like dumb. Intelligence of 5 for the young fire giant as well, and the smartest one, is the Ettin with a 6, and they're just like bash. So they're going to attack the first thing. They don't have the greatest of battle tactics here. So that's why they're all kind of like picking their own targets and just having some fun because they think they're better than that. So that is Indib's attack with 1 spear attack. The Ettin takes a little bit of damage, and we move on to Bogvia. Now, the Bogvia's legendary action was at the, let's see here. Each creature that starts its turn in the area. Okay. So Bogvia is going to go ahead and move a little bit to get away from the fire giant just to be safe. And we'll go ahead, move up to, we'll say, to there to get kind of like around and behind these crates here. And we'll go in to make an attack. So, who is she going to attack? They're both kind of evenly spaced. Not a fan maybe of giants per se, frost giants and the such. So she will go ahead and attack the young frost giant here. ELG says, nobody in command, everyone randomly charging everywhere. I think the giants are a more realistic D&D party than the small people. And Ettin being the most intelligent member of the group is so strange. It really is, isn't it? Alright, so Bogvia is going to go ahead and leave the concentration of her epic confusion, the calamity going, and she will just go ahead and make a Eldritch Blast attack. Alright, so Eldritch Blast cantrip away! Base 4 to hit. That is going to be, unfortunately, a miss with an 8 and does not get the Eldritch Blast attack, sadly. And that is Bogvia's turn as she ends her turn on the other side of the crates here. Up next is Alum, who has already taken some damage from Meko here and will be attacking Meko straight up with their... What did I give her? Or him, them, whatever. Oh, the Battle Axe as well. Okay, and the Battle Axe, yes, that's right. So our young Frost Giant here, Alum, is going to go ahead and attack Meko with the Battle Axe. So, 1 attack, and Meko is, let's see here, missed with a 4. Man, goodness, look at that giant animation go on. And with a 10, Meko is definitely missed and does not take any damage from the young Frost Giant. And that is their turn, unfortunately, not really being able to do much of anything else. We'll say, just for the sake of things, pivots over here to a little bit to get maybe closer to the wall for whatever reason. And we move on to Meko, who now goes ahead and does some damage. Now, this is going to be the second round, so yeah, we'll go ahead and deal this damage here from Meko. So first off, they're going to do their Radiant Aura. And with that Radiant Aura, both Hogris and Alum will be taking, let's see here, 6 points of Radiant damage, and then goes in for 2 attacks against Alum. Alright, first off, we will go ahead and do the Mace attack. Did that not go? No, that did not go. Okay. Why is it not swinging? What's going on here? There we go. All right, now that's better. Base 6 to hit. Total of 11. Does miss, unfortunately, and then goes in for the Shield Slam. And that's going to be a base 11, total of 16. The Shield Bash does hit, dealing 10 points of bludgeoning damage from the shield up against Alum. And, Meko go ahead and yips a couple times in delight. And ELG says, we love you, Meko! Yes, a couple of good hits, and that aura, Meko is doing some work. It hasn't even been hit yet. Paladin does. Paladin is as Paladin does. Alright, that is Meko's turn, and up next we have Hogris, who notices the damage from Meko, turns their attention from Indib, and moves over to give Meko a pincer attack here. Unfortunately, Meko is now caught between 2 giant creatures, and Hogris goes in for 2 attacks here against Meko, who dealt some radiant damage. So attack number 1 is going to be a Battle Axe at advantage because of flanking rules. And we have ourselves a base 15, total of 22 to hit, and Meko is nailed for 15 points of slashing damage. Then the other Ettin says, yes, me attack next, and goes in for a Morningstar attack as well. Base 15 again, hits for an A 22, and that looked like it hit Alum because of how big these creatures are, for 13 points of damage, and brings our Paladin, our Kobold Paladin, down to about 25% of their life. That ends round 2, and we go ahead for our in-between combat rolls. We have 6 likes on the stream, which means we are now rolling from 95 to 100. So that'll be 95, 6, 7, 8, 9, 100. Yes. That will be 95 to 100 since we are rolling high thanks to our checks from before. And with that, we will roll that D100 to see what we get. And with a 39, sadly, we will not be getting any interactions from our third party. But the more likes the stream gets, the more the chances are we may see the third party come into play here. Who knows? And that is the end of round 2 as we go into the top of round 3 with Gozu crawling around on top of Ram Rocktum. He will go ahead and make a couple attacks at advantage because he is climbing all over this bewildered and annoyed ogre. Let's see, Dalton Breeze says, the Ettin taking advantage of positioning to flank Meko. Yep, definitely the smartest in the group. And the Grung can do flanks as well. Yes, this is correct here, Doctor. So, Gozu goes in for the attack and targets Ram Rocktum for 2 advantage attacks with his unarmed strikes. Now, just to make sure we are aware of things, we have 3 unarmed strikes now that Gozu is finally able to do something here and goes in for the attacks. Oh, that reminds me, he should have had a 3rd attack when he got on top. Totally missed that. So, hand off the chess piece. Unfortunately, we will go in for the 3 attacks now at advantage. So, attack number 1 is going to be base 17, total of 22 to hit, dealing 8 points of damage, and that's an unarmed strike, so we have ourselves a save here. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we can do here. The target must succeed on a 13 strength saving throw or dexterity saving throw to drop their weapon or to be knocked prone, which is kind of silly. So we'll just go ahead for the for that thing. So we got to go and revert this. We're going to do full damage. So we're going to apply the 8 total points of damage because it thinks it's saved, but doesn't lose the weapon. Knocking it prone is kind of pointless since our, gnome here, or not gnome, excuse me, the halfling is climbing all over the place, and we go in for the second of 3 attacks. An advantage, that's going to be a base 18, total of 23 to hit, and it once again does hit. That's going to be another 6 points of bludgeoning damage. We will go ahead and revert that and deal the appropriate amount of damage for 6. And then our final attack here, as Gozu is just pummeling him, holding on for dear life, and just like giving him a really intense shiatsu massage, or however you want to say that. And that's going to be a base 14 to hit, total of 19, dealing 6 more points of damage. And looks like we had a natural 20 on that check. Too bad that doesn't really matter here. And we go in for 6 more points of damage. Our Ram Rocktum Ogre here, the Battering Ram Ogre, has sufficiently taken close to 1/3 of their life and damage. Definitely over, I'd say, 25%, and that is the end of Gozu's turn. Up next is round 3's Lair action, and now we go into Lightning Strikes. I don't think I have anything for lightning in the weather effects here, sadly. So we will go ahead and make the rain a little heavier, maybe? Let's go and make the rain a little heavier. And now we will go and make some lightning strikes here. So, we have a chance of one of these creatures being hit, and one of them will definitely be hit. Here's the thing. Our giants are taller, so our giants are going to be getting hit potentially with this. So we're going to say 60% chance that the ogres get hit, so 40 to 100 will be, will be the giants, 40% below will be one of the small folk. So let's go ahead and roll a percentile here. And we have an 80. What do you know? One of the giants is going to be struck by lightning. Uh-oh, is anyone wearing metal? That's a really good question. Is anyone wearing metal? Yeah, a few of them are holding, axes and shields. We got the young frost giant and the fire giant here holding some. Plus the Ettin is also holding it. So let's go ahead and just roll a d4 to see who is going to get this. We'll go 1, 2, 3, and 4. With the d4 check, we'll see who gets struck by lightning. And that's going to be a 2. Makes sense. They seem to be holding the most amount of metal and iron here for our young frost giant. And the young frost giant is going to take some damage here. So let's see here. We're looking at CR4s. So what kind of damage are we going to see? I'm going to go with let's go with 2d10 worth of lightning strike damage, and we'll go from there. So 2d10, and that will be the total amount of damage. And we're zapped here real quick with 11 points of lightning damage. Or maybe should we go higher? What is lightning bolt actually? Because lightning bolt's actually a really good indication of damage here. Lightning bolt spell. How much damage is that? That is 8d6 worth of damage. You know what? We're going to do that instead. It is a lightning bolt for lightning strike, so why not? 8d6 worth of damage instead. There we go. Makes sense to me. And that's a lot of d6s for 34 points of damage. Much better. I like that. Mego did that. He asked God for a favor. Alright. And Alum, our young frost giant, is nailed for 34 points of lightning damage and shocked heavily. Yes, thank you, Dalton. Lightning bolt is 8d6, and Alum is just harangued with a massive lightning bolt strike here. So far, so good. None of our creatures are really in any kind of rough state here. Call lightning does 3d10. Oh, that's a good point too. Call lightning. I didn't even think of that, Hair Doctor. Let's roll a 3d10 and see how much that would have been. 23. Not bad. I will use that in for the future. That is actually a really good indication there. It's not, yeah, it's about the same. I like that. Okay, that is the lair action's turn, as this is getting pretty gnarly for our combatants here. Up next is Thralj, who is standing inside of the Calamity Sphere and now has to deal with being confused. So let's go ahead and make this confusion check. DC 12 save here. And with that, we have some confusion for their behavior, so we will take a look at that in a moment. All right, we have to make ourselves... What kind of save is it? DC 12... treat it as the target is confused. And... it doesn't say what kind of... Alright, each creature that starts its turn in the air is treated as if targeted by the confusion spell. Save DC 12. What kind of save are we doing here, folks? Intelligence, I guess? There's nothing indicating what kind of save. Oh, wisdom save. There we go. Alright, so we'll use the wisdom save. Very good. Alright, with a -2, not looking so hot. Alright, so, with a 1, our young fire giant here is definitely confused. So, let's go ahead and see what kind of behavior they're going to have. Thank you, Hair Doctor. With a D10, we get ourselves a 4. So, with a 4, the creature doesn't move or take actions this turn, and it's just bewildered and confused, like our frog in the image here, and just kind of, duh, and just doesn't do much of anything. Let's go ahead and see about adding a confused token to our fire giant here. Do we have a confusion? No, we do not have anything for confusion. Okay, that's unfortunate. But our young fire giant doesn't do anything here, and that is their turn. They don't move, they don't act, they just kind of stand around and do nothing. Up next is Ram Rocktum, who still has this obnoxious little halfling running around on top of them. Alright, let's go ahead and see about... unfortunately, they dropped their weapon through the hole. No, actually didn't drop the weapon. So he's going to go ahead and just go for with the grab again and try to get it, because the attack definitely didn't help. So 2 grab attacks to try and get this guy off to throw him away. So we're going to go ahead and go for the athletics check, which is going to be a +4 check against the acrobatics check. Ooh, that is not a good acrobatics check so far. Let's see what happens here with the athletics. Acrobatics of 8 versus... Ooh, that was close. A 10. The first grab by our Battering Ram Ogre does not succeed. Goes in for the second of 2 actions or multi-attacks to try and get rid of him once again with an athletics, this time with a dirty 20. The gnome might get thrown and flung. Alright, and with that, we will go ahead and make an acrobatics check. We have to hit it and beat a 20, but this time does not. As the ogre is getting more and more frustrated, the gnome, or I don't know why I want to keep saying gnome, the halfling is grabbed and chucked out into the pit here. So we will go ahead and chuck them. We'll say a good 20 feet. And let's see here, that he gets thrown, yeah, we'll say over there, gets thrown 20 feet, falls into the ground here, but we're going to give our, being a monk, we're just going to go ahead and do the whole slow fall ability and just kind of hits the ground, does a couple really awesome barrel rolls or flips, and doesn't take any falling damage because it's not that far of a fall. 10 to 15 feet and then being thrown here. We'll do a dex save, actually. We'll see what happens. What is the ogre's strength? +4. The DC would be what? Plus their proficiency of 2. So yeah, we'll say a DC 14 check to not fall prone or be take any kind of fall damage here with our monk. So yes, then we're looking for a cock die. Oh, that's a 9. Oh wow, look at that. Gozu actually will fall and take damage. So we'll say 2d6 worth of fall damage, falling 20 feet to the ground, hits the ground and will be prone. So 2d6 fall damage is going to be a total of, oh, max! 12 points of fall damage. That is impressive and is prone for the time being. So we'll go ahead and mark Gozu with prone. There we go. Gozu is now officially prone on the ground. He got yeeted for sure. Dalton Breeze says, being confused, the fire giant stares off into the distance as he tries to recall where he is and who he's fighting. Definitely the problem. Okay, that is Ramrocktum's turn as he was able to successfully get rid of the halfling crawling all over him, dealing a whole bunch of bludgeoning damage, and we move on to Ndib, who ribbits at Meko a few times and positions himself over for flanking as well against the Ettin here. And we go in, sadly, for 1 strike against the Ettin because that's all they have room for is 1 spear attack, but it is at advantage, so we are crit fishing now, folks. And the attack roll is a, oh, so close, base 19, total 24, and deals 10 points of piercing damage as his spear is coated as well. Now, on top of that, the free action, our Grung Elite Warrior is going to go ahead and pull out their shield to get their full equipped armor bonus going on since they're not using their bow and arrow anymore. Yes, isn't he supposed to be the lucky one? This is true. Let us take a look at the features here. No, he does not have the halfling luck, just halfling nimbleness. Okay. And that will be Ndib's turn as he deals a little bit of damage to Hogris. And we move on to Bogvia, who sees and cackles in delight at the confusion of Thralj and goes in for another attack on Alum, who is looking pretty worse for wear here. And Bogvia goes in for another Eldritch Blast cantrip attack. That's going to be a base 11, total 15, and hits Alum for 6 points of force damage. Not a whole lot of force damage, but hey, that's better than nothing. And could we have done anything else? Charm person, major. Really, there's nothing really else good that could be done here. That's pretty sad. Is it an action? I thought it'd be like a free action because of like drawing a sword. You could draw the shield out and equip it. I figured it was a free action, Hair Doctor. If it isn't, I will totally back off on that and remove and take off the shield AC. Yeah, the as ELG says, here's the iconic flanking conga chain. Yes, of course. All right, we move on now to Alum, who is looking pretty worse for wear, but so far so good. Everyone is still kind of in the battle here. We haven't hit round 4 where sides will start to decide where to flee or engage. And seeing that Alum has 1 attack to go here, we have no multi-attack. We'll go ahead and go in for that battle axe attack. Oh, it's armor. Okay, well then, I will remove that. And go back to the 15. Oh man, that's really funny. Donning a shield takes that long. Makes sense though, makes sense. Okay, thank you guys. I appreciate that. Alum will go ahead and go in for a flanked advantage attack since, you know, we're still doing this whole conga line here. And we'll attack Meko. Alright, here we go for the battle axe at advantage. That's going to be a base 18 and does hit Meko with a total of 24, 13 points of slashing damage, and Meko is about a third of their life gone, unfortunately. Alright, that is all Alum can do, and Alum will go ahead and stick their position out as Hogris is one of the heads, is calling out for Alum to stay put. He's like, no, don't move, do not leave. And up next is Meko's turn, and Meko will go ahead and yip with delight and say, ha-ha, here comes the light again, fools, ha-ha, and goes in for the Radiant Aura attack. And that is going to be, after my system catches up with itself, 7 points of radiant damage, dealing Alum and Hogris a little bit of radiant damage. Then goes in to try and finish off Alum, who is looking pretty worse for wear in a critical state, and goes in for the shield bash and mace attack. So here comes the slam attack with a base 19, almost a critical. We have a total of 24 and 8 points of damage to Alum, and then followed up with a mace attack. Oh, and that should have been at advantage, so let's go ahead and do a little crit fishing here. They both do hit, and Alum has been defeated, but let us go ahead and roll for some 20s just for the sake of it. We'll go ahead and do the first one here. And that was not a natural 20. And the other one was an 8, so the attacks will stand as they were. And Alum is the first to finally be knocked out, as round 3 is coming to a conclusion here. Unfortunately for Hogris, our Ettin, he has lost his flanking advantage and is now flanked by the young little small folk hero. Alright, that is Meko's turn as he yips with delight and excitement and thanks the greater deities, probably Bahamut, for the help in defeating this frost giant here, and turns his sights onto Hogris, who is now taking their turn to attack. Seeing the situation here, is going to continue attacking Meko because of all the damage he's being dealt by him, but we'll probably split the attack since he has 2 attacks, and we'll go in for 1 attack against Meko. Let's see here, going for that attack. No more advantage, so we'll just do a Morning Star against Meko there. And that's going to be a base 4 as Meko easily dodges and ducks out of the way from the attack, then switches his actions to Indib and goes in for a Great Axe attack, or Battle Axe, excuse me, against Indib. And that will also miss as well. Unfortunately, we don't get to see the poisonous abilities of our Grung Elite Warrior here. And that is the end of round 3. And as we come to the end, we will take a look here. We have 8 likes on the stream. Goodness gracious. Thank you all so much for the likes. This is fantastic. This is probably the most we've had so far during the live stream. I really appreciate it, folks. And that will be, let's see here, 100, 99, 97, 96, 5. So 93 to 100, folks, to see if our third party makes an entry. 93 to 100, and that will be, I think that's right, 93 to 100? Yeah. That will be our third party coming in. So let's go ahead and roll the D100 to see where we're at. And with a 92! Oh no, it's so close. If we had 1 more like on the stream, we could have had the third party come in. With a 92, we just miss it. But there is a rustle in the forest and a squawk of birds flap and escape from the surrounding forest as something musters and moves in the distance. That is the end of round 3. We go to the top of round 4. Gozu is prone on the ground, stands up for half their movement, and will probably rush in to attack. The 1%. I'm only seeing 8 likes right now. I see 8 concurrent views and 8 likes. ELG. Alright. I will check that in a little bit. If, for some reason, if this does update to 9 likes, I will give that a change there in a little bit. But for the time being, I'm only seeing 8 likes on my end, sadly. Alright, and with that, Gozu is going to go ahead and stand up, losing the prone condition and half their movement, so they're down to 15. And unfortunately, they are too far away to really get in there and attack. So, our monk is going to throw some darts since they're nice and close, and we'll go ahead and attack. You know what? He looks over to his companion, sees that everything's pretty good over there, and will continue to keep the distraction of this Ogre Battering Ram here, and goes in to throw 3 dart attacks. So we'll go ahead and swap over and just zip, zip, zip. The monk goes ahead and throws the darts. So dart number 1 is going to be a base 4, and with that is a miss. Attack number 3, or excuse me, 2 is a base 13, total of 18. That one does hit and deals 5 points of piercing damage to Ram Raktum. And then the last attack is going to be a base 7 and, hits with a 12, dealing 6 more points, and 3 darts are thrown at the Battering Ram Ogre here, Ram Raktum. And then with that, Gozu is going to go ahead and, you know what? Scrabble up for 15 up to the top here. and climbs partial the way up. We'll say he's now climbed up with the 15 feet of movement and is up even with the ogre, just at a good distance here. All right, and with that, we will move on to the lair action. Once again, we are now dealing with the lair action, and because the storm is still raging on here and everything is at, pretty gross here in the pit, the water's starting to collect at this high speed and rate of rain. We are going to go ahead and modify the rolls a little bit. Since we are now down one giant, we will go with a 55% chance. No, let's see here. No, we'll say 57% chance to hit one of the giants here with the lightning strike, since they're much taller. And with that, let's go ahead and see where we're at. And with a 69, nice. We are going to have another giant struck, unfortunately. So now we will roll a 1, 2, or 3 for our giants to be struck. So we will go ahead and roll a d3 and see what happens. And with that 3, the fire giant here, the young fire giant, is struck by lightning. And since we have the call, since Hair Doctor reminded me of the call lightning, we will go ahead and roll 3d10 for the damage on our young fire giant. Nice. And with that, our young fire giant is dealt 10 points of lightning damage and is zapped pretty good here, and is almost at a critical state. And that is our lair action for this round that you all had voted on in the beginning of the live stream. And we move on next to Thralj, who is still kind of sitting around confused here. And let's see here. Because of that, I believe we can make the check every up to 1 minute as if concentrating. The creature started a turn. Yeah, alright, so still has to make that wisdom save. Okay. Because he's still kind of standing in there and doing a whole bunch of nothing. So with that wisdom save, we are going to roll an 8, and that fails. So our young fire giant here is still confused and is going to go ahead and roll a d10 to see what their behavior is. And with an 8, they are, let's see here, the creature uses its actions to make a melee attack against a randomly determined creature within its reach. If there is no creature within its reach, the creature does nothing this turn. So unfortunately, our fire giant grabs their massive maul that they have in their hand and looks around and goes, yes, now is the time. But then looks around and does nothing to strike, and maybe just like slams the ground and does nothing, unfortunately, and does not hit. So our fire giant here has been taken pretty much out of combat, which is really, really funny, and just kind of stands around confused about what they're doing. Up next is Ram Rockdom again, and not wanting to deal with the halfling that has climbed and scrabbled up the wall here, he's going to go ahead and charge after the goblin. So let's see here if our ogre can even reach. Oh, he certainly can, and comes barreling down after Bogvia here, our goblin, to try and slam and maybe even get rid of the calamity effect that's going on. 2 attacks against Bogvia as this ogre just and just slams after her. So let's see here. Still not bloodied. They are a little bit behind, but not too terribly behind, and goes in for 2 attacks. All right, attack number 1 against Bogvia. That's going to be a base 16, total of 22 to hit, and she's going to have to make a concentration check, which she does and fails. She loses her concentration against the calamity. All right, so let's go ahead and get rid of the calamity effect there, which will probably come back because, why not? All right, so the calamity effect is gone from there. She does take 23 points of bludgeoning damage. And it looks like she... Oh, yeah, that's right. She had the false life there and lost a little bit of life, or had that protection there. And, yeah, another attack coming in from our, massive ogre here. We go ahead and go for a second bash attack against Bogvia, who is hit by base 13, total of 19, and is dealt 16 more points of damage. And Bogvia is looking pretty hurt at this point. She is not doing so hot. As that turn ends, Bogvia is going to use one of her legendary actions to go ahead and get out of dodge. With the incorporeal dash, she can move up to her speed. She can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain. She takes 5 force damage if she ends her turn inside of an object. So she will go ahead and use the incorporeal dash. Oh, come on now. These should have been recharged. That's one thing that Foundry doesn't do. It recharges those. All right. Uses the incorporeal dash. is not taking any damage. We will revert that damage because that's just silly. And we'll go ahead and move 30 feet somewhere. Let's see here. Where's she going to dash to? Probably dash. Yeah, she's just gonna go right through the ogre and probably yeah, go this way, since that seems to be the better route here. So just dashes right through. Granny weirdo. I know it's not noticeable, but I made the fire giant a girl to have one male and one female giant. Oh, excellent. I did not realize the fire giant was female. Yeah, you know, now that I look at it, definitely can see it. Thank you, Hair Doctor. I appreciate that. Did not realize the fire giant was female. Alright, so that is Bogvia's turn. With one of her two legendary actions, she just kind of rushes right on past the ogre. Alright, up next is Indib, who's going to go ahead and make an attack against the Ettin here at advantage. And we'll go ahead and make that a spear attack against Hogris. There we go. That's going to be a base 11, total of 16, and does hit for 11 points of piercing damage, and the Ettin is poisoned. We'll hit with poison damage, but not poisoned, because no one's hit the skin of the Grung yet. And with that, we move on to Bogvia. Well, at the end of Indib's turn, Bogvia is going to use her last legendary action to, you know, get out of here. So we're going to go ahead and do the incorporeal movement. She's not going to take any damage, which is silly, and we'll continue moving on 30 feet up this way to get out of there as fast as possible. And then we get back to Bogvia's turn. Her legendary actions do reset, so she now has those again. And we'll go ahead and make an Eldritch Blast attack at our Ogre Battering Ram down here. Oh, that's weird. She lost her image. Oh. Alright. One Eldritch Blast attack, base 8, and rolls a 12. Does hit Ram Rockdom for 12 points of force damage. Surprising. And our ogre here is bloodied. At that, we now move on to Alum, who unfortunately is dead. So he's out of combat. And then we move on to Meko, who goes ahead and will do the aura damage here. So we will go ahead and do that. The aura damage will deal our Ettin here 8 points of radiant damage, and then goes in for another multi-attack. Poor girl. True. There we go. All right, so with that, we're going to go ahead and make a mace attack and a shield bash attack against this Ettin, because they've messed with the wrong people. Base 18 to hit. That should have been a at advantage. That's going to be 10. Let's see if we get a crit here or not. That's not a crit, but close. And then we go in for a shield bash attack at advantage. I finally remembered this time because of the flanking. And we have a base 17, total of 22 to hit for 10 more points of damage. And Hogris is in critical state here. At that, Hogris being the smarter of them all. Let's see here. With a 10 wisdom, is now really concerned for its life and is going to run on off. But the problem is, they're not smart enough to know to disengage, so he's just going to rush off, not really calling for a retreat because, well, they're Ettins and ogres and not smart enough to know how to call for retreat. So he's just going to go and save his own life at this point because this is the bottom of round 4. So at that, we're going to get 2 attacks of opportunity from Meko and from Indib, and we're going to go ahead and make those attacks right now. So with the mace attack, we get 1 free attack of opportunity at advantage, which still hits. We'll go ahead and roll that advantage attack. Get the other d20 in there to see if we get a crit. No crit there, but that is 5 points of damage. And then Indib also goes in for a advantage attack here with the attack of opportunity. And that's going to be a double 11s. But still hits Hogris, who is knocked out and KO'd as he attempts to run away and save his own life. At the end of round 4 and the defeat of the Ettin, we go ahead and check for the third-party interactions. I'm still only seeing, unfortunately, 8 likes on the channel, so this will be a 93 to 100 to get that third party coming in. Opportunity attacks with advantage do feel great. It is amazing. Dives behind the corpse and falls prone as a last resort if things go south. True. Okay, going in for that end of the round check. You're looking for anything around 93 and above. We do not get it with a 46, unfortunately, and no third-party movement comes in to deal with the problems here. As we get to the top of round 5, we are looking down the line here. We have Gozu, Thralj, and Ram Raktum. Gozu's going to go ahead and make a run and jump across here. Let's see here. What is the rules for jumping? I never remember how it works with the long jump. They have a strength 11. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Long jump. Nope. Jump. Quick reference. Long jumps. Let's see here. When you make a long jump, you cover a feat. Cover a feat and never your strength score if you move at least 10 feet on foot immediately before the jump. Okay. So that's a 10-foot gap. Technically, it's 15. We could go... If we count this as well, we could say... Yeah, that's 15. Let's see here. You can jump up to your strength score if you move at least 10 feet along the... This rule of thumb assumes that you're doing that. Okay. So unfortunately, he won't really be able to make the jump, but will come on over to the aid of Bogvia. So goes ahead and rushes on up. So we'll say 25 feet to there, 30 feet to here, and then rushes down and uses both movements to kind of get interpose himself between the ogre and Bogvia. Bogvia, on the other hand, during this is going to go ahead and use her 2 legendary actions to cast another spell of Calamity here on the big ogre. So we'll go ahead and use the feature here of a Zone of Calamity and drop that right on top of him. So now the ogre has to, the Battering Ram ogre has to deal with that. Oh, cool. I wasn't too sure about that, Dalton. But we'll just go with that as it is. Let it stand. Gozu runs around and gets ready to interpose. Up next is the lair action. We have 2 dead giants, so we will go ahead and drop this down to 55%. We will do another quick roll for lightning strike since the storm is still raging. And we have a 56%, which means our ogres are still getting hit for being the tall ones in the area. And we will now do a 1 and 2 here. So we'll go ahead and do 1 and 2 for the lightning strikes on our ogres. Poor giants here. They are just getting getting knocked out. And once again, the young fire giant is being struck by lightning. Makes sense. I mean, they're wearing armor and whatnot. Oh yeah, at this point, on their turn, they're going to flee for sure. But we're going to go ahead and give them the last little bit of damage here with 3d10. And that's going to be 20 points of lightning damage, as once again, the fire giant is just struck. Who doesn't say lightning strikes twice? Come on now. God is a paid actor. And our young fire giant is bloodied with a second strike of lightning. And we move on from the lair actions to Thralj, who has had enough of this nonsense and will just dash away and back into the woods to try and save himself. So he goes ahead and runs off into the distance, ooh, a little too far, and disappears into the forests. At the end of the turn, we will see here what happens with Ram Raktum, as he is confused and has to make a wisdom save. Okay, with that, we make the wisdom save of a DC 12, and we have an 18. Does avoid the calamity, and also follows suit and runs away into the forests, ending tonight's game of Monster vs. Monster here on the D&D CR Exposed YouTube channel. I always like to do the odds of, like, who do you think would have won? And unfortunately, because of all the new polls I have going on here, I didn't get a chance to ask you guys who you thought would have won. But, as we see here, it turns out our small folk did end up winning, and now they know what was causing all the problems for the merchants and the travelers, and will get this giant footprint filled in at some point. Combat is over. Hair Doctor says, I find it funny that lightning struck the giant I made tokens for. It really did. It really did. That's pretty funny. So, that has been tonight's game. Thank you all so much for joining. I really appreciate everyone who helped out by checking the polls and hitting those likes on the live stream. It was a lot of fun. I really, really appreciate it, and we will be doing more of this in the future. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't joined the Discord, please do so. We will be talking about the next week's game through the week here, and we'll be making plans so you too can help influence what will happen here. So if you've enjoyed this video, come drop a comment for the video. I will get you a Discord link. Come join us there, and we will start chatting about the next week's Monster vs. Monsters episode, and help make this an even more enjoyable combat than it already has been so far. Dalton says, I definitely thought the giants would win, but they were taken down by the little ones. And the lightning, yes. ELG says, climb onto a bigger creature was used in D&D by someone who isn't me. I can die happy. That's fantastic. All right, so now for a little bit of the business here. The virtual tabletop of choice is Foundry VTT. I absolutely love it. I moved away from Roll20 and have gone to Foundry and will never look back, and I will never move to another one because Foundry is a one-time use only. You pay for it once and you have it for life. Unlike all the other virtual tabletops out there that charge you a service every month to use their features. The battle map is by Cheinpeku. You can get their stuff at patreon.com/Cheinpeku. The names were generated by fantasynamegenerator.com. I believe that was all of those. The tokens were graciously donated with his time by Hair Doctor, who is in the live stream and part of the Discord as well. I appreciate the work Hair Doctor helps out with so much. It's been such a big help with all the tokens he's been helping with. And then let's see here, what else? Music is in the description below. It's called Imperial Forces. You can get that for free here on YouTube. And I believe that's everything. That's everything, yeah. So this has been The Business. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I hope to see you guys next week with another episode of Monster vs. Monster, whatever that is. Like I said, if you're not already in the Discord, drop a comment in the channel or in the comment section below. I will get you a Discord link, and we will start planning out next week's adventure here with the Monster vs. Monster channels and building out and fleshing out this world here. So we have some new heroes running around in this world, and we are world building as we are also playing Monster vs. Monster. Thank you all so much for joining me, and this is me, Andrew, with the D&D CR Exposed YouTube channel, asking the question, are your encounters even rated? Have a good night, folks. Have a great rest of your day, and I will hopefully see you next Monday.